We are moving on to a new skill today. We just finished our last unit of adding and subtracting mixed numbers and fractions. So today's Unlock the Problem is as followed. Maya collects stamps. She has 20 stamps in her collection. 4/5 of her stamps have been canceled. How many stamps in Maya's collection have been canceled? So I'd like you to go ahead and pause the video in a moment and try to figure out this question. You can use a piece of paper, or if you have your notebook at home, you can use that. Once you are all done, you can unpause the video and check your work or see how I completed the problem. So make sure you're thinking about what you know about fractions. All right, go ahead and pause the video and try to figure something out for this one. All right, so hopefully you have something in your notebook or on a piece of paper that has to do with fractions, right? Because in here, if we take a look, they give us a fraction 4/5, right? So we had to be thinking about our fractions, and we did just finish doing all of those fraction things before. I'm going to read the problem one more time, and then we'll talk about it. Maya collects stamps. She has 20 stamps in her collection. 4/5 of her stamps have been canceled. How many of the stamps in Maya's collection have been canceled? So it's really important in this question that we see that there's a fraction, right? 4/5, I've already underlined it. But if you listen the first time I read, I said 4/5 of, I kind of accentuated that, right? That's really important in here. I'm looking for 4/5 of her stamps. And her stamps refer to the 20 up here, right? She has 20 stamps. So really what the question is saying is we're going to need to find what 4/5 of 20 is. Okay, so if you remember way back, probably in October, November, we talked about this word of, and when we see it, what it means a lot of the time. If we're looking at a fraction of a whole number, it's really the same thing, or really it's telling us that we're going to go ahead and multiply. So really we can turn that of into a multiplication symbol. Okay, so we're doing 4/5 times 20. That's what we're looking at to solve this problem, right? Because 4/5 of those 20 stamps are canceled. So if we multiply 4/5 times 20, we're going to figure out how many of those stamps were canceled. And we're going to use a model or a picture to do that for today. And tomorrow we're going to draw pictures as well. And then we'll move into doing the actual algorithm for it. But I think the pictures are good so you can get an idea of what's happening when you actually are multiplying. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and erase some of this so I have some room to show you how we're going to draw these pictures to solve this question. So remember, again, we are multiplying. That's what 4/5 of, or a fraction of, a whole number is. It's multiplication by that fraction. So we're going to have 4/5 times 20. And we're going to go ahead and draw a model or a picture to solve this question. But before we do that, what we need to know is two things. One of those things, we're going to talk about columns and rows. So we need to know that a row is referring to left and right. Okay, so if we have things that are organized, if we look at them from left to right, that would be one row, and you'll see I'll point it out to you when I draw the pictures. And the other thing we need to be aware of is a column, means up and down. Okay, so rows are left to right, columns are up and down, and we're going to use an array, which you've made way back in third grade, maybe even second grade, to do multiplication. So we're going to use an array, and I'm going to refer to columns and rows to do that. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to make one row. So that's going to be from left to right of our denominator. So in this case, our denominator is 5. I'm going to use X's for this just because it's nice and easy for me to draw them. You could use dots or circles, either one. But I'm going to use X's. So I'm using the denominator. I'm going to make one row of it. So I need 5 X's. And notice they're going to be nicely evenly spaced because we need to do some work with them. 4 and 5. So I first took the denominator and I made one row of them. Okay, again, from left to right. There's a little bit of space in between them, so I can do some more work. Now, we looked at the denominator first. The next thing we're going to do is look at that whole number of 20. Each of these x's is really representing one of the stamps, right? And there are 20 stamps in this problem. So I'm actually going to fill in underneath each of those x's I made evenly, so as rows, one at a time, one row at a time, until I have 20 total x's. So I'm going to do that now. So right now I have 5, right? So here's my 6th, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Again, notice I filled in one row completely before I went down to the next row, okay? So you need to make sure you do that, and you need to make sure that when you do this, that whole number, you have that many X's or circles. In this case, they're representing stamps, right? Each one of these X's is one stamp. So now that we have an array out here of 20 X's or 20 stamps for this question, all we're going to need to do is look at our numerator now, okay? And our numerator is going to tell us how many columns to circle. So our numerator is 4, so that means I need to circle 4 columns. Here's one column. Again, columns are up and down. 2 columns, 3 columns, and 4 columns. Again, the reason I'm circling 4 is because the numerator here is 4. So I circled I circled 4 out of those 5. Now we're really looking at our answer. So if we take a look at how many X's have been circled, that's going to tell us 4/5 of 20. So all I need to do now is go ahead and count up the number of X's that are inside of a circle or that I circled. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So for this problem, 16 stamps were canceled. Now, again, this is a nice visual, or it's a nice picture to see that if you laid out all of these stamps and we wanted to have 4/5 of them, right? It's showing us, well, look, I broke it up into 5, right? 5 in each row, and there are 4 in each column, right? And then I took 4 out of those 5 columns to show me how many there are. And that's really what we're looking for. 4 out of 5 from the 20 that we have. All right, let me move on to another question. Do that. So you can see another example. So if you take a look here, I left this up on purpose just so that you could see they're the same, right? So this says 7/8 of 16 or 7/8 times 16. They mean the same thing. You're doing the same operation. You are multiplying, right? When you see this 7/8 or a fraction of a whole number, it means to multiply. So I'm just going to rewrite the problem over here just so that I can go ahead and refer to it. I like it to be a little bit bigger. And then I have all this space over here on my right to go ahead and draw the model. So again, I'm going to use x's for this model. I'm going to need 16 total x's, but I'm starting by making a one row of my denominator. So my denominator is 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. Now remember, I'm going to fill in underneath one row at a time until I have 16 total x's, because that's my whole number. My whole number is 16. So I already have 8, and then there's 9, there's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So now I have all 16 of my whole numbers in this array. So we made a row to start, which was left to right. And now we're going to look at columns up and down. I need to circle 7 out of those 8 columns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of those 8 are circled. And now remember, we're looking at our answer. So the number of x's that we've circled, that's going to be our answer. So let's count them all up and we'll write in our answer for this question. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Our answer is 14. So 7/8 of 16 is 14. So again, it's nice to see that we have 16 total things, right? If we look here, we count up all of these x's. There's 16 total things. We could use stamps because that's what the last one was. Let's say there are 16 stamps. If I needed to take 7/8 of them, I have all 16 out. They're organized in an array, and I circled, right, 7 of those columns, and then I counted up the x's inside of what I've circled. So I want you to go ahead and try today to draw your models to answer the questions on the next Google slide, okay? So if there's any questions, remember Zoom at 11 o'clock, and you can always message on the classroom underneath the assignment. All right, have fun.